Hey guys, it's Sylvia from Backyard Brushes in Fountain City, Wisconsin, and we were challenged to build a snowman. So I have taken 3 items I recently found at the thrift store, and I've repurposed them into a snowman. Hopefully you'll like them and you'll find some inspiration. So let's get creating. For project 1, I picked up a 5x7 picture frame at our local thrift store. It was priced at $2. However, the day that I was there, everything was 50% off, so I paid $1 for the frame, and I was having a little trouble with my nails and the price tag. So I went ahead and just took the frame apart, and I realized on the back of the frame that there was actually some white cardboard, and I decided that would actually look better than regular cardboard. So I just kind of rearranged that and put it to the side. I decided to use Fusion cast iron. Since receiving it in one of the maker's box, it has become one of my favorite colors for black. I painted the whole 5x7 with one coat of the Fusion cast iron, and the Fusion paint is a mineral-based paint, and it also has a sealer, so the coverage is really good. So it only took me one coat of paint. I printed off some Frosty the Snowman sheet music off of the computer. I just Googled free music, Frosty the Snowman piano, and then I printed it off on some resume paper so that it had a little bit of, I don't know, texture and color to the sheet music. I used the glass from the picture frame to determine where to cut the sheet music, and I just folded along the edges for my cut line. And previously, while the frame was drying, I cleaned the glass with Windex. I just didn't videotape that because I don't want proof that I know how to clean anything or give my husband any ideas. I don't want to be cleaning windows. So then I just cut out the sheet music with the scissors. I grabbed some Distressing Ink by Tim Holtz, and I started to, this is going to be at the start of a fail, but we're going to recoup. I took the edges of the paper with the Distressing Ink, and I was just going along the edge, but it just was giving me more of a linear, streaky effect, not the smudged old effect I was going for. So then one of my readers had suggested the makeup brushes viewers, not readers, but suggested the makeup brushes. So I found these makeup brushes. They kind of look like little baby soft toothbrushes. And I inked up the brush, and I just went around the edges, and it gave a nice little distressed vintage kind of vibe to it, which is more of what I was going for. So I went around all the edges of the paper. I'm using a medium paintbrush, and I'm using the handle, not the brushes, and I'm dipping it straight into the iron or the cast iron fusion black paint. I'm tapping some of the paint off, just kind of unloading it a little bit. And then I am just going to technically stamp the eyes right on the paper. I prefer this method because I get more circular shapes versus if I try to draw my own eyes, and they're more even also. And it's really easy. I decided to use paint pens for the nose. I felt it would dry quicker and I would have more control than a brush. So I grabbed my paint pen set and picked out an orange color. Now, when I do my carrots, I will start by placing a little dot where I want the end of the carrot, and I'll kind of form 3 dots forming a triangle. So I'm just placing the dot where I want the carrot to end, and then 2 more dots for the base of the carrot, and then I connect my dots. Now, I always remind people carrots come in different shapes and sizes. Some are big, some are small, some are thick, thin, with girth. Do not have carrot envy over other people's carrots. They all serve their purpose in the long run. They'll either make a nice fun nose for a snowman or provide nutrition. So just remember, no carrot is too big and no carrot's too small, and don't have carrot envy. I then decide to take the small brush and I will tap out a mouth for the snowman. So I'm using a different brush with a smaller handle, offloaded the paint, and I'm just going to make a smiley face of dots, stamping them on. I grab a gray paint marker and I just add a little detail to the nose. I'm going to trace around it and then just add a few little lines for dips. And now I'm just going to pop my snowman back into the frame. I'm liking the way it looked, but I feel like it's missing something. So now I decide to use some gold rub and buff and add it to the edges of the frame. When using rub and buff, you want to be careful because it doesn't come off easy. If you get too much, you'd have to probably repaint over it. But I'm just lightly putting it on my finger, offloading it a little bit, and then randomly wiping it along the edges of the frame. For project 2, I'm using a pepper grinder I picked up at the thrift store, and it was only 25 cents. I used my fingernail to remove the price tag, which came off pretty easily, and then baby wipes to clean it all off. In the future, if I were to use a pepper grinder again, I would definitely remove the hardware and then run it through the dishwasher. I'm sure it would be a lot more clean than trying to get it all clean with the baby wipes. It got pretty nasty. I used a small Phillips screwdriver to remove the bottom of the grinder so that I could remove the inner rod. I'm guessing it's the rod that is used to help grind the pepper. I'm not an engineer, but my best guess. It wasn't the easiest screw job I ever had, but it did. Eventually, I was able to remove the innards of the pepper grinder. And again, I had to wash it some more with my baby wipes, but it did take a little bit, and I was eventually able to get it clean. I didn't realize the top of the grinder would not attach without the rod. So now I'm grabbing E6000 and I'm going to attempt to glue the top of the grinder back down into the base. I then decide that he needs a hat, and I choose a wooden doorknob from my stash, and I glue that to the top also. I then decide to paint my snowman. My snowman does take 2 coats of white chalk paint. Oh, and you can see here, I just pulled the head right off. I thought it would be easier to paint before the glue settles. So I give the snowman 2 coats of white chalk paint, and then I paint the knob again with the cast iron by Fusion. And I am not going to bore you death with an hour's worth, well, almost an hour's worth of painting the snowman. So now my snowman is painted and all glued together. It's time to give him a face. This time I'm using the bottom of the small, I call it a baby brush, of a small brush. I think it's like a number 2. And I am giving him eyes using the stamping method, the same method I used in the previous snowman. And I'm also going to do the same thing for the nose. I'm going to use the paint marker, give him 3 dots, and color in his nose. I'm going to grab the paintbrush again, and I'm going to give him a little smiley face using the dots and the handle of the the small brush. Using the paint marker, I just give him a couple little eyebrows. Using a medium paintbrush and the stamping method, I stamp 3 dots going down the center of his body for some buttons. I apologize, I'm not sure how I missed this. However, I did take some red velvet and I tied a small scarf around his neck. I then grabbed some E6000 craft glue. I've never used this before. It is supposed to have the same strength as E6000. However, it's supposed to set quicker. So I put a little bit in, well, I attempt to put a little bit in his hat, but it was still closed. So I unscrewed the lid and I just dipped the tree right into the glue and placed it in the little hole of the wood knob where the screw goes. I apologize. I thought I got the beginning stages of the lamp on video. However, I was having such a difficulty removing the bolt when I was trying to disassemble it. I did have to take it into the house and get my husband to help me. So I've disassembled the lamp, removed the rod from the inside and the cord, and now I'm just using E6000 to glue the lamp back together. For the snowman's hat, I felt it needed to be a little bit longer, so I grabbed a wood spindle that I had, and again, I painted that black with, you guessed it, Fusion cast iron. After sitting overnight, the paint is dried and the snowman is assembled. I gave the snowman two coats of white chalk paint. Now, I don't know why I did this, but I grabbed the paint marker and I gave him some little eyes, and it took me a little longer because I had to play with it to get it a little bit more even and round. Then I used the same method, 3 dots to make a triangle, connected my dots, colored it in, used the fine tip of the paint marker for a smile. I used the Deco Art snow text, and I painted on the snow to the top of the base and a little bit on the sides of what was the base of the lamp. So it looks like the snowman is sitting in snow. Using some red velvet ribbon, I'm just going to tie on a scarf. And I apologize, I am not a bow person, and it takes me probably a little bit longer than it should to tie a knot. And then I just clip the edges of the ribbon, giving them an angle and making sure they're different lengths on each side. I grab another bottle brush and the E6000 crafting glue, and I use the back of a paintbrush. The hole on the spool is a little bit bigger than the previous doorknob, or drawer knob. So I'm just filling in the hole with glue. And then I just insert my tree. Okay, you guys, what do you think? Personally, I like the snowman made from the lamp the best, just because 1, I think it's unique, and 2, I liked the shape and a little bit of the height. However, if I was preparing for a vendor event soon, I would probably be making a bunch of the snowmen in the frames just because one, it's inexpensive, two, snowmen always sell well, and three, the music sheets are pretty big and are kind of a hot item and sell very well. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear any comments, criticisms, thoughts, ideas. That's personally how I learn and grow. And if you find this inspiring, please hit subscribe below and follow me along on my creative journey. And again, special thanks to Sonnet for giving me this challenge. Well, I should say giving us the challenge. Thank you.